Hi, I'm Mark Meadows from Buzz Into Beekeeping, and this is a beginner's guide about getting into beekeeping. Why get into beekeeping? We need more beekeepers in the UK. We are desperately short of beekeepers. In the 50s, we had 80,000 beekeepers in the UK, and that dropped down to 9,000 by the year 2000. We're back up to almost 50,000 beekeepers now, but we're still seriously short. So we want to try and make it as easy as possible for people to get into beekeeping. One of the things, this Beekeeper starter kit called BuzzVox, this has all the equipment that you need to get into beekeeping, and you just need to add bees, which is quite an easy thing to do, actually. Believe it or not, you can get bees in the post. So if you have a hive and a kit, you can then order a nucleus colony of bees, and they will be delivered, and that's how you can kind of get started. It's really important, though, before you do go into beekeeping, to get some advice and training about how to go about beekeeping. The British Beekeeping Association has a network of local associations around the country. There are more than 200, so there'll definitely be one near you. They help with advice and training and everything else that you need to kind of make your beekeeping adventure as successful as possible. If you're interested to know whether you have enough space in your garden for beekeeping, you don't need that much space at all, really. A couple of square meters should be enough. So you need a hive and a little bit of space around it so that when you're inspecting your bees, you can move around the hive and things. A quiet corner of your garden would be ideal, possibly near a fence. One of the things that people are often worried about when starting beekeeping is their garden being overrun with bees. Luckily, that's just not the case. So the bees that will fly from your hive, they fly up and out, and they cover a 3-mile radius from your hive. And so they scatter out and go off looking for pollen and nectar and bring that back to the hive. So there's not really an influx of bees in your own garden or even your neighbors' gardens, because the bees are out looking for food elsewhere, really. In terms of benefits of beekeeping, obviously bees are a keystone species. They do so much ecologically and environmentally. They're so important. But also we get obviously honey from them. So from one hive like this in your garden, you could quite easily harvest 30 or 40 pounds of honey in a season if you look after them and give them what they need. And that's definitely more than I can eat in a year anyway. In terms of the time needed to go beekeeping, it's a kind of a summer activity mainly. So from this time of year, sort of April through to August, September is the busiest time for a beekeeper. And during that time, you need to do sort of a weekly inspection on your bees just to check that they're okay, check that the queen's healthy, that everything's going as it should be. That inspection takes, 1, possibly 2 hours each week. So it's not a huge amount of time needed to do it, but you'll probably find that you spend a bit more time doing it because they are so interesting. Once you get into beekeeping and learn more about how the colony works and how everything, there's fascinating creatures that go about their business, you'll be wanting to spend more and more time down there. One of the features of the BuzzBox hive, which is great for that, are these windows. So on the front of all the boxes, there are these windows, so you can have a look inside and you can see the bees going about their business on the comb, filling it with pollen and honey and raising new bees. And you can do that without actually opening up the hive and exposing them and interrupting what they're doing. So it's quite a great way to keep in touch with the bees and check on their progress. And you can do that sort of, anytime you want, really. Depending on your bees, you probably won't need to wear a suit to just have a look in the windows. The bees will be coming in and out of this side of the hive here, so they'll be flying up and out that way. And as long as you're calm and quiet and things and don't sort of disrupt them too much, they should be fine. Obviously, if you are concerned at all, you should wear a suit with a veil and a hood and protective gloves as well, just to prevent, these are wild animals effectively, and if they feel threatened, then they will protect their colony and sting you. It does happen. Most beekeepers do get a sting or two each season, but if you're careful, that can be really limited. This is a frame. So this is a national frame, and these fit inside the hive, and this is what the bees will build their comb on, and they will fill the cells with pollen and nectar and honey and that sort of thing. And in the bottom box, which is the brood box, that's where the queen will live. They have slightly bigger frames in the bottom, but in those cells, the queen will be laying eggs. and the worker bees will then be looking after those eggs once they hatch, raising the broods, and new bees will be coming through there. So within the colony, all the bees have sort of their own jobs. The queen bee, there's only ever one queen in a colony. She can live for up to 6 years, normally 4 or 5 years, but possibly up to 6 years. And the worker bees, the 99% of the bees are workers. They will only live for 6 weeks, so not very long really. So the queen's job is to ensure that there are enough bees. She's always laying eggs, especially this time of year. In the spring, she'll be laying as many eggs as possible, up to 2,000 eggs a day, and that's to grow the bee colony up so that there are more and more worker bees that can go out and collect pollen and bring that back to the hive and ensure that the colony survives. So the queen does her job. The workers do various jobs. Soon after they've hatched, they will spend time in the hive, so being house bees. They will look after cleaning out cells and putting moving pollen around, moving honey around in the hive. And after a few weeks, they will then graduate to possibly being a guard bee sitting on the outside of the colony. And then eventually they'll become a forager, where they will spend the days flying out and collecting pollen and nectar and bringing that back to the hive. So on a warm afternoon, if you go down to your hive, you'll probably see quite a few bees flying around just around the hive. And those are young bees that are on their first flights. So they're doing these orientation flights where they'll leave the hive and do a few circles to check what's in their surrounding areas. They'll be noting there's a shed and a tree and a fence and things, and work out where things are in preparation for those longer flights where they'll go out and collect pollen and nectar and bring that back to the hive. So all of those bees that I've mentioned, the queen and the workers, are female. The male bees are called drones. Drones, you only ever have a few drones, sort of 5% possibly of the colony are drones. And they don't do any work. They laze around, they fly out during the day. They go to certain, they basically fly out of the hive and they wait for queens, and the queens will fly out and mate with those drones. So that's the sole job of the drones, is to mate with the queens. Later on in the summer, when the bees are now thinking about wintertime, they're going to be prepping for winter, and those drones will actually be kicked out of the colony and left to die, because they don't do any work, they don't add any value inside the hive, and they will just be drawing on the resources that the bees have been storing and working so hard through the summer to create and put away. So tough life for the drones, but it's the survival of the colony is key. Okay, top 3 reasons to get into beekeeping. It's absolutely essential from a biodiversity point of view. It's a brilliant hobby, a very fun thing to do. Always something to learn. And the third, and probably the best one, honey. The hive will produce 30 or 40 pounds of honey in a year. That's more than anyone can eat, really. Anyone should eat in one go. So you've got lots of birthday presents, Christmas presents to give away to everybody. You could sell the honey as well. But the honey itself is so much better than 99% of the stuff that you'd find in the supermarket. Honey is different from frame to frame within a hive. From week to week, it's going to be different. It'll have different color, different smell, different taste. But the taste is absolutely incredible. One of the most essential tools for beekeeping is this smoker. So you probably know what this is. Opens up, and you'd put some grass or paper and things in there and light that, close it up, and then you'd puff some smoke in when you're doing your inspections in the hive. Another tool which is absolutely essential is this, which is a hive tool. It's just like a little chisel with a hook on the end of it, and that's used when you're taking the frames out of the hive. Absolutely essential tool for beekeeping. And actually, when you learn to beekeep, you learn never ever to put this down. It always has to be in your hand. And of course, protect yourself from the bees. You need a veil a bit like this one. Make sure that it's all zipped up and connected properly before you open up the bees. There you go.